here we have the Ishod Wear Twin Tail reel. Did I say it right this time, guys? Is it Ishod? I know I've gotten hell for saying Ishod. That's just kind of how I imagine Americans saying it. Ishod Wear. So that's how I said it. Anyways, let's get into the deck. So this is the Twin Tail, and it is an 8.3. So it's not 8.38 and it is not 8.25. And the measurement of that in imperial is 8 5/16. The length is 31.8, which is 31 7/8. And the length of the nose and tail, pardon me, the tails, is 6.6. So that is 6 5/8. So let's take a close look at this first. I mean, I like the stuff that Reel's doing. So I love the way they've got, you know, a change in the color of the dyed veneers. They've got some texture on the board. I don't know if you guys can actually see that. It's like reflective and shiny, and there's this sort of embossed texture. Got the signature of the man himself. The kicks on this are medium. I would say the concave actually feels pretty steep to me. I've been riding a lot of flatter decks lately, and this feels quite steep to me. Even though it says in the R1 construction, it says not too steep, not too mellow, I would put this on a medium steep. So I've been messing about on this, trying to figure out what to ride it with, what configuration. Right now I've got Thunder 144s on this. Pardon me, 148. So let's simplify that. I've got 8 1/4 Thunders on here. I've got 52mm lock-ins, so pretty beefy for me. Now I've just gone up 1/4 inch in board size, and the kicks feel way different and the Twin Tail feels way different. So I'm gonna show you guys how I'm struggling with this thing first. Everything's extra hard today because the wind is blowing against me while I'm trying to skate uphill. So I was like losing speed as I popped out of that. So I would say that it feels really strange for everything nollie and switch. I feel like I'm always riding my board backwards right now. I'll flip it around, I'll do a shove it, and I'm like, it trips me out. I'm like, wait, why is it still backwards? Nose manuals, all my switch tricks, everything feels off. I have to try harder. Well, that was a bunch of complaining and whining and pretty boring skating. So after a couple days, I did actually get used to this board. But also what I did is I switched it to my independent 149 titaniums. So the trucks were just a tiny bit wide for the deck, but they still worked quite nicely, and it gave it the pop feel that I was looking for. Because with the nose feeling so short, once I had a wheelbase that was in a bit, it helped it feel just a tiny bit longer. And the way indies make your board pop light also helps that a bit. So here's some more skating once I've gotten used to it. And I do apologize for the too short sweatshirt and too long t-shirt. I gotta get my outfit figured out one of these days, you guys. This is the year I'm gonna do it. as you can see, I really like 360 flips on this board, frontside flips on this board. They work pretty darn well on flat too for me with this setup, especially if I'm on smoother ground. But I definitely love this board for parks. And you could see I was still able to do like nollie half cab heel flips. It wasn't holding me back much. However, on flat, I still struggle with nollie heel flips and switch heel flips on this. I just like a bigger nose. I need, well, a nose, not a tail. Another thing I wondered if it would be a problem for is things like nose grinds, nose slides, crooked grinds. I mean, there is considerably less nose, like a 1/4 inch. So am I gonna notice that? Is it gonna bug me? Well, as you can see, it was fine. I really didn't notice. That was what I noticed the least. Again, it's just my switch heel flips. I just can't do them right. And it's such a staple for me that it's kind of a big deal. That's why I keep mentioning it. And of course, with time, you'll adjust and get used to it. But I'm pretty impatient. Very quickly before we end, I would also like to say, so this has a nice steep feel. Of course it's symmetrical and it's got, I'd say 2 1/4 to 2 1/2 fingers of flat. The kicks are pretty steep. It's got that beautifully steep deluxe concave that some of them have. Deluxe has a lot of concaves, but a lot of people associate those steep, stiff boards with deluxe. And this is one of them. I always felt really solid and secure on this deck because your foot really locks in. There's a lot of board, like a lot of concave to really get a nice easy flick. And it was overall just a really solid board to ride. If you are interested in checking out the Twin Tail, I do think they're a great deck. However, if you've been doing this for as long as I have, you may struggle with getting used to something when you've got like, 20 years of muscle memory that you're fighting against. So people that I could recommend this for is people that actually don't have a lot of experience or that have always wanted to try a Twin Tail. Not because this is a beginner board, obviously, because it's not, but because you're not going to be fighting against your muscle memory to try and relearn how to do your tricks on this. You're a fresh slate. Well, that concludes it. I hope you found this useful. I would definitely say this is a Twin Tail, true to its name. Not a twin nose, not a twin kick, is definitely a Twin Tail. And I hope you're having a good time on your board. As always, may your next session be your best session yet. And that's it. That's all for the video. Sometimes I have these little objective moments where I realize that I'm sitting here talking about a skateboard, which is like a warped and mutilated chunk of tree and these fossilized remnants of old plants and these molten minerals, and I just grind them up all the time. I wonder how big of a chunk of urethane I've used up in my years skating, and I wonder how much of a tree I've used up and how big of a rock I've used up from grinding up my trucks, and that they've all been put back into the earth. It's weird. Life is weird when you're objective. And I'm still talking, and you're still watching, which is even weirder. So go skate. Get out of here.